Alright, thanks for clicking on the video. This is Gulpain, back with the Broken Sword retrospective. So, Broken Sword, I mean, one of my favourite games ever. Love this series. Have taken a while to talk about Broken Sword on my my YouTube hobby channel, but I've decided to go through and do a little retrospective of each game. So I'm going to play each game and basically give my thoughts on each game. But I'm also going to read out the story of each game as well for anyone that's unfamiliar with each entry in the series. So I will be reading the story from fandom.com. So I could do my own, writing of the story of Broken Sword, but it's already there, and I'm gonna cite my source as well. So no plagiarism here. So in this series of videos, then it's just going to be a basic retrospective of each game, but I'm actually going to look at each game, like each version of the game as well. Like I played the first one on PlayStation 1, and there's actually a few different versions. There's a PC version. The PC version is very similar to the PlayStation version. There's a remastered version, and there's a version on the DS, a version on the Game Boy Advance, and then there's a Broken Sword Reforged. So Shadow of the Templars has a lot of different versions. So I'm going to play each one of those and then give my thoughts on it as well. So I'll start off here with the story of the original Broken Sword. As the game begins, the American tourist George Stobbart witnesses a terrorist attack at a Café de la Chambre Verte in Paris, during which a clown steals an old man's briefcase and detonates a bomb. Soon after, George meets Nicole Collard, a journalist who is photographing the scene. George investigates the area to help Nico gather information about the attack. He finds the clown's discarded nose and learns that a man was seen escaping with a briefcase. After Nico discovers the address of a costume shop inside the clown nose, George learns from that shop's owner that the nose had been purchased by a man named Khan. George travels to the hotel where Khan is staying, where he obtains an ancient manuscript from Khan's hotel safe. After evading two hired thugs, Flap and Guido, George takes the manuscript to Nico, who deduces that it is related to the Knights Templar. In a nearby museum, George finds a tripod that is illustrated in the manuscript. He soon travels to the excavation site in Lochmarne, Ireland, where the tripod had been discovered. And there, he obtains a gem identical to one on the manuscript. After facing an infamous goat, George finds an entrance to a Templar chapel beneath the local castle ruins, where he discovers a mural of a hanged man with Montfaucon written underneath. George returns to Paris and learns from André Lobineau, a colleague of Nico, that Montfaucon is located in Paris. Flap and Guido attempt to steal the tripod from the museum, but they are beaten to the theft by Nico, who gives the artifact to George. In the sewers of Montfaucon, George spies on a secret meeting of people who claim to be the Templars, and he learns of their plan to find the Sword of Baphomet. After the group leaves, George uses the tripod and gem in the underground chamber to reveal the name of a village in Syria, Marib. He travels to the village and discovers that Khan has been looking for him. At a nearby rock formation called Bull's Head Hill, George finds a lens and deduces that it is represented on the manuscript as a crystal ball. He also discovers an idol with three bearded faces, Baphomet, and a Latin inscription that describes Britain. Khan arrives and holds George at gunpoint, but George manages to escape. Back in Paris, George learns from André that the manuscript mentions the Spanish Divos Conchelos family, who were once connected with the Templars. At the family's villa, George speaks to the family's sole surviving member, a Countess de Vasconcelos, who leads him to the de Vasconcelos mausoleum. There, George discovers the family's chalice, which the Countess entrusts to George. She asks him to find her missing ancestor, Don Carlos. In Paris, George uses the lens in the church at Montfaucon and discovers a hidden image of a burning man. In the church, George finds Don Carlos's tomb, which is inscribed with a series of biblical references. André reveals that an idol of Baphomet has been discovered in Paris, and George gains access to the excavation. Using the chalice, he discovers an image of a church with a square tower. George returns to the Countess and he discovers that the biblical references showing a secret area inside a well containing a chessboard mural with a river running through it. Compiling their clues, George, Nico and Andre decide that the Templars are going to Bannockburn, Scotland. George and Nico board a train, but she and an old woman in their compartment soon go missing. He reaches the conductor's carriage, where the old woman, Can in disguise, throws Flap out of the carriage. However, Can is shot and killed by Eklund. George and Nico reach the church in time to see the Grand Master of the Templars acquire a power from two huge Baphomet idols, the Sword of Baphomet, or the Broken Sword. After trying to tempt George to join their ranks, the Grand Master orders the couple to be killed, but they escape with the aid of explosives Can had given Nico before his death. The church explodes, killing Guido, the Templars, and presumably the Grand Master. The game ends with George and Nico's first kiss. So that's just a quick rundown of the story. So this one here is the PlayStation 1 version, which I encountered second. I played Broken Sword 2 first. So my sort of memories of original Broken Sword are sort of construed because I played Broken Sword 2 first. And then I remember seeing the trailer, which deserves its own sort of retrospective because it's such an awesome trailer. It made me want to play Broken Sword 1 so much. The voices and the music in it are just fantastic. But the PlayStation 1 version here, it's a really good version, but it's only when you sort of play the DS version or the remastered version on the Wii that you realise that the PlayStation 1 version doesn't really look very good. The voices as well, they're very sort of like muffled a bit. I suppose like it was in like 1996 or whenever the original Broken Sword came out, 95, I can't remember now, but yeah, it was a while ago. So well, you know, a good while ago. So then obviously like the you know, the audio had been improved, although I don't really think it was that improved in the remastered version for the Wii. And then the reforged version I haven't played yet. I'm waiting for it to come out on physical before I actually buy it. But yeah, great memories of original Broken Sword. Absolutely top drawer. I support Newcastle Football Club as well, which is really handy because they meet Newcastle people in the train. Yeah, but introduced me to George and Nico. I was already familiar with George and Nico from Broken Sword 2, but Broken Sword 1 for me, I think they keep remaking Broken Sword 1 or remastering it, and I know why, because it's such an awesome, fantastic game. It got me interested in history, got me interested in the Templars and the Crusades and the different areas that you go to in France as well. So very good game for like you know, a kind of a, I don't know, someone that's interested in this sort of stuff. So the next video I will talk more about Broken Sword 1. So thanks very much for watching the first installment of Broken Sword Retrospective. Adios.